Okay.
Okay, welcome to Faith and Calm, class number 307. It is the beginning of the 3 weeks. And because of that, we're going to focus a little bit on the temple. The reason for doing that is because obviously the temple was destroyed on twice on Tisha B'Av, which is the end of the 3 weeks. And the Rebbe emphasized that learning about the temple and the first temple, the second temple, even the third temple, all of that is very much related to bringing the third temple into existence. And so, there's a good source for that because the the prophet who tells us about the third temple was the prophet Yechezkel. And in the 14th year after the destruction of the temple, he was living in Babylon, and Yeskel ben Buzi, he got a visitation from Hashem, who told him that I want you to show you the vision of the temple that's already in heaven and it's waiting to come down, because there's always a temple. The temple in Shemayim is actually the source for the temple below, and all of the energy for the whole world it comes through that temple, through the divine temple above. It comes through the bottom, through the lower temple below. And the more the two are aligned, the more of all the vitality, the life, the energy, the whole world should have protected the first temple from being destroyed, because the world is a much darker place when there's no temple operating. So God comes to Yechezkel and he says, I want to show you a vision of the temple and the Shemayim, the perfection of the temple, so that when they go back, they can start building it. And Yechezkel says, stop teasing me. Stop teasing the Jews. We're stuck here. We're stuck in exile. We're stuck in in Babylon. We can't do anything about this. You just knocked yourself out of the picture.
Okay.
So and God says, no. I will credit your learning about it to be considered like helping to build it, and therefore you will actually be building it. So we actually align the lower world with the higher world, and we bring that together. So I'm going to do a tour. There's going to be a different kind of class. I'm going to first start out with a slideshow, and then I'm going to proceed a little bit, and we won't see us so much anymore. So let me go and do a sharing. Where is share? Share, let me share the whole window. And let me do slideshow here from the beginning. So I used AI and helped put this a little bit together and so forth. So, we're going to go through a little tour, and we're going to see the development of the temple and how it was built. This is the second temple. This is Mount Scopus over here. I forget which mountain this is here. Mount Scopus is over here. These are other two hills. There are 7 mountains in Israel. This was Mount Moriah. Before Abraham, they actually, a very specific place. This is where Adam was born. This is where Cain and Abel gave their sacrifices. This is where Noah gave his first offering. And the temple, and this mound was also then obviously where the Yakeda happened, the Yitzchak. And then this is what David had purchased, and he built a mountain here. And King Solomon, he built it up because, good question. So you had to see how it is here, how it's all sloped and so forth, and and on a hill and so forth like that. So that's how the first temple sort of looked. But when Herod came, he flattened it out. And that's what you see today. It's just a flat top, because he built arches on arches on arches. This whole area is hollowed out, and there is that's they keep from tumas and maze, from the dead people, if there was accidentally a dead person underneath. And this is what it looks like today.
For a second, if you have an archway over, even if it's over a grave, but you have an archway,
we can't hear you. What'd you say?
If you have an archway over a grave, and the structure doesn't lie on top of the grave directly, then it doesn't receive impurity from the grave. So they were very careful in how they built the temple.
Can you repeat that?
let me explain that again. So there's an arch here. You see this arch? So if the tumor was under this arch, then you would be protected. No tumor would touch you.
The
Now, if you
impurity.
put an arch over here, a second arch in between these two arches, then you're covered everywhere on top of here. So as long as there's an arch on diagonal or underneath or something like that, the only places where there wasn't is where the altar was and where the Evan Shisi, the holy of holies, where the ark is. Those things are directly connected to the dirt. Now, I want to show
Oh,
The
you
altar is directly built
so
on
dirt.
dirt.
Yes,
And they know that dirt was never, there was never a grave there.
it had to have been. Yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
this one on the left that you pointed first, that's the first base of Mikdash, the one that's on a slope.
This is an artistic
On the bottom.
rendering of how they would think that the first Beta Mikdash, a little simplified, but
Wow.
sort of to give you an idea of how it worked. And then here you can see the western wall would be here where you would be standing. I'm going to show
Right.
you a little bit more of how that actually worked out.
Wow.
Now,
It's so interesting that you showed us the first one that's different. I was going to ask you if they were both the same, and that
No.
answers the
Different,
question.
different.
no, they couldn't build it. The first one was much more beautiful at first, and then Herod built a beautiful one later on. This is Herod's temple, so we're going to show you
Uh-huh.
Herod's temple. But when the exiles came back, they built they had just didn't have much. They just built whatever they could, and it didn't look very nice
The
at all.
initial second temple.
The
you're
initial
saying.
second temple, and then they
Second temple was
really built it,
rebuilt.
and Herod really built it up there. And we'll show a little video, maybe if we get to it this week. If not, we'll show it next week. So anyway, so this is a picture of the second. Now, I want to show you when I say that that the temple above in heaven has to be aligned with below. This is a picture of how symmetric and how it's going to look like in the time of the third Beit HaMikdash. And you can see it's very different design. Here, it's not
Which
bad.
is the third? You
This
should
is the
point.
second. This is the
one
third.
on the right is the second. Is the second?
Yeah.
And the one on the left,
Left
is
is
the
the
third.
third. Right. I can't.
Okay.
Somehow my cursor used to be green, but it's not here
Okay.
anymore here. All right. So, and so you see it's got a thing here on the side. It's got boxes here. They're not quite lined up. And even the altar is off to the side here a little bit. And then this is
Right.
here. And here, everything is very symmetric. You've got the altar. You got a man here. You got his head. You got his arms. You got his belly where the altar is.
Like this.
This is where the sacrifices, the food is, and so forth, and then the legs and so forth, and everything is exactly proportioned. Because in the time of the Beit HaMikdash Shlishi, there will be perfect harmony between the physical world and the spiritual world, and that's why there won't be any sickness or disease or war or anything else. So we're looking
I have a
forward to
very
the third
big,
Beit
important
HaMikdash.
question,
Yeah.
which is like everyone wants to know. How on earth can you say that they know that this is what the third one looks like?
Not perfect.
What the plan
I'm going to
is?
show you some models.
Where, what,
Sources.
So, Rabbi, there's number of Yecheskel did write 8 chapters. The last 8 chapters of the book of Yecheskel does describe it, but there's not a lot of commentary on it. There was a translation by Targum Onkelos, and then nobody else touched it. And they said, this stuff is too complicated. And in fact, when the exiles came back, Ezra, he said, we really don't understand all of this, so we'll try and do the best we can, combining the first temple with some pieces of the third temple, but they didn't get it perfect, and that's why it was eventually destroyed, the second temple. So, but we have Rashi, believe it or not, a 1,000 years after Yecheskel did it, he wrote a commentary, and he had no sources and no support, and he's completely from Shemayim. He started, explaining some of the things and the dimensions, and then we have Rabbi the Ramchal also wrote a very spiritual book, and this is all based on that. So let me show you a little bit of a video here of the third Beit Mikdash, because I think it's interesting, and I will bring that up here. Third temple. Let's go full screen.
Thanks
And
for answering the question. You really knew either maybe you prepared ahead of time because you knew someone's going to ask, how do you know
as
that
you can
that's
see here, this is the temple. This is the third temple here that he's showing here, and it will look. He built a model, and it sits in
Who's
spot.
he?
Rabbi Chlorphine, and it sits in. It sits Chlorphine. I met him a couple times. He's contemporary, and very nice man. He now lives in Sfat. He was in America, and this is it sort of shows you how by building it, you really know what the different pieces are supposed to look like, the sizes,
Wow.
the dimensions. We know a lot of
Uh-huh.
it's going to be like the second temple and so forth. And I want to tell you this, that yeah, you can see really how now the entire mound
Doesn't really have a
is
courtyard.
huge.
It's
It's
not
huge.
like,
It's huge courtyard. It is the size of the courtyard, as you can see. I go back to the beginning, is
sorry.
the Temple Mount itself will grow. This will be 36 times the size that it currently is. So there will be enough room for 2 million people
Wow.
on there,
On Yontif.
on Yontif. And
Very
here he's
nice.
showing you how it's going to look more like like
Like a
a
man.
person, It's got the Holy of Holies here. It's got the
Right.
holy. It's got the entranceway. It's got the altar where the sacrifices, the belly is.
Yeah.
These are housing for the Kohanim here on the side where they would do everything. And these are probably the preparation places. They're not sure about every piece of this, how it actually works.
You said the
So,
housing for the Kohanim? You don't mean
Not
the
housing,
housing.
all their
Not
places
where
to
they
be.
live, not those
No,
that
No.
house.
all the things that they did.
but
All
as I
the,
said, it
yeah.
will be huge. It will expand to
Whoa.
room for 2 million people to come.
Whoa.
And Jerusalem will have to expand to the entire size of the whole of land of Israel at that point in time too. So
So in other
I
words, we're
have a book
counting on
on this.
everybody to like be able to go. So
So that is the third Beit
wow.
HaMikdash, and I wanted to
Thank
show
you.
that. Now I'll take you a little tour of back
Thank
to the
you.
second Beit HaMikdash,
This
and
is
let's
great.
go again from current slide. Okay, now, I didn't mention this, but you see this little blue line here coming here?
That's the stream,
Yeah.
right?
Somebody noticed that there was some water leaking from underneath the temple lately. So what it is that the time of the third Beit HaMikdash, there will be a tiny stream that starts under the ark in the Holy of Holies. It will be the size of a hair at the beginning. And then by the time it gets here, it'll be like a finger breadth. And by the time that
Uh-huh.
it gets here, it will be like a hand. And by the time it leaves the temple, it'll get to be actually a tiny little stream. And eventually it will grow to go through all the lands. And this little stream here will be, as it says, the leaves of the tree that grows there will heal every sickness and every illness. So that's one of the prophecies that Yecheskel mentions about that stream.
Very
And like I
exciting.
said, they actually did find some water coming from somewhere underneath the Temple Mount, and
Yeah.
it's going to be very exciting. So
There's been
Like
reports
the
of that from
leaves
time
of
to
the
time.
trees that grow in the banks of the stream
yeah.
Will
heal
heal
every
every
sickness. So
sickness.
that's further out, but this one that these holy men are looking at is not.
They're Kohanim
It's
because they're wearing the
So
turbans,
it's
right?
not heal. Those that isn't necessarily healing because it says
Yes.
that the
Yes.
leaves from the
They-
trees have to do the healing.
It says, at least you are correct. It is
So
not
then
a stream.
what purpose does it? I really feel bad to ask all these questions. What purpose does it serve being in the base of Mikdash if it doesn't have any leaves to heal?
No. It
It's just the
nourishes the
source
trees.
of
It's the
the.
trees. The water is the symbolic of a divine love. Water is love connects people together, right? So does water. Water dissolves and brings things together. So love and water are connected. So it shows God's love. So this water is a physical manifestation of God's love for his
Thank you.
people and how it will cause things to grow that will heal everybody. So
Thank you.
that's the symbolism of the water.
I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions.
You're
but
helping
it
a
seems
lot.
to-
You're better than, I'm going to put you next to me on the podcast. It's perfect. That's exactly what we
Okay.
want to do.
Keep going.
Okay.
Stop insulting.
I think in the corner this man has crutches. With that man that was standing by the stream.
Yes, he did.
There's
Yeah.
crutches over there. I see
Yes, he
in
did.
the picture.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's
So
gonna
I'm
get
going
rid
to
of
take you
them.
back here. So
Yeah.
right now the Harabais was 500 by 500 almost, which is about a quarter of a mile. And they have at the Israel Museum, they have a scale model of the whole city and then the Harabais. And I wanted to sort of show you a comparison between what it looks like today and on one side and what it looks like as a 3D reconstruction on the other. So here we go. We're going to go through each of the sides of the temple. So everybody knows about the Kosel Maravi, the Western Wall, and they're familiar with this. But this little section that we think of as the wall of the temple is actually just this tiny section
Uh-huh.
right here. This
Uh-huh.
part is underground, but you can go on the tunnels tour and you will see parts of this part. This was a bridge that would lead you
Uh-huh.
into the Temple Mount, and it goes right around here. It's underneath this area here. So when you go on the tunnels, you go on the tunnels tour, you go
Uh-huh.
into here and you go down and you see parts
Uh-huh.
of this bridge that actually brings you through here and so forth.
Wow.
And yeah, so you can sort of orient yourself here. So all of this, they've knocked down the walls, so it all filled in this area. And that's why the plaza is the plaza, because you can't actually see the
Have
full
those
height, but
buildings.
you can see how tall. They actually have holes that go all the way down over here, and you can see that it goes down, 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 down. So it was tremendously high wall that went all the way up to this point. And of course, the temple was behind this wall over here.
And can you show where the top of the wall now is? Point to where it is on.
Well, this is knocked down even here, so we don't, this
Yeah.
would be much higher even here. There's a
No, but it's down here. No,
yes, here
wall is-
at this line here.
it's like that.
I need this
yes.
to be green, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to change
Okay,
the
fine.
color.
That's the arrow where you're showing now. That's the top of the Kosel.
That's what we
Yes,
see. Yeah,
that's the top of the
no,
Kosel.
that's the floor right now of what we've got right now.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's the
Oh,
floor.
so
And then
how come it
it
looks
would be
so
about
beautiful
here,
and
maybe,
symmetrical in
maybe about
the picture?
maybe
But
about
in the
here.
real one, it has different size stones.
Sorry.
Yep.
Wait,
Yeah, the higher the big stones are from Herod's time, the second
Yes.
temple.
Right.
Yeah.
The tiny stones are from Muslims who just piled them up on top and so forth. So that's not really but again, it went much, much higher. Some people say it went up, maybe 200 feet or something like that from here. So we're not seeing that because it was all knocked down by the Romans and bulldozed and used as landfill over here. So that's
Why on earth would Muslims be interested in adding to our temple?
because they want to take over everything that everybody
they took over
has.
the top.
They took over the
temple
biggest church
Yeah.
in the Christian world in Constantinople and turned it into a mosque. They took over our temple and turned it into a mosque also.
Yes.
So that's what they do.
Oh,
That's what they do. So
I guess
yes.
that's
Yep. So here's another picture again. So you can again of the Kosel. Now you can walk to the side, and then you walk here on the side here, and you actually see a little bit of this arch here. This is called Robinson's Arch, and you can see that this was one of the main paths to get into the temple, and we just have a little bit here on the side that you're able to see.
Got it.
uh-huh.
Keep going.
Now this is the eastern wall. So the east is the opposite of west, right? So this is from the Arab side. And but you can drive here. There's a road on this side here, and that's what this picture is showing from this side. And this is showing you what it would look like from there actually was one gate. It's not, I asked the AI to create something that would look like the Holy Land Temple. It built it. These gates should be actually over here. There's a middle gate called the Shushan Gate, which is blocked.
So the thing on the
But
left
these
is
two
AI.
gates are, yes, the left is AI, 3D reconstruction.
nice.
Today is
You made it.
today.
Yeah.
And I made this from scratch,
Very
talking
nice.
to it, and wanted to show
Wow.
back.
Yeah.
Yep. And these are the same gates. The Arabs, the Muslims blocked it over because
They
these
filled
two
them in.
gates are the gates of mercy, they call them, the Shar Harachamim. And they are the gate for the Kalas and Hassans, because you go through there, and also the gate for the mourners. And the Arabs don't only block it, but they put a cemetery here because there's a story that Mashiach will enter through these gates, and they wanted to make sure that Mashiach would not be able to go into the temple.
Wow.
So that's blocked over, and you can still see
And they
a
knew
little bit
that?
of the remnant of that. What? They
So
know
you
that.
said the
They know
Arabs
our
blocked
stuff.
it off. So that means
Yeah.
they knew that Mashiach was supposed to come through there?
Yes, yeah. They read our stuff.
All enemies of the Jews
They
have
read the
been
Bible.
big. Hitler, all of them.
You know what?
They always know about they know about Jewish history.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the fact that you could ask AI to do this, I don't even attempt to even use
It's-
AI. You asked with your
Okay,
normal
let me
We have
voice.
to keep going.
Sorry.
going. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
a long class. Okay.
Sorry, I'm
Now we
sorry.
go to the south side. This was the main entrance to the area.
I go
You
here.
can walk
Okay.
over this area and so forth today and so forth, and you see how they started to try to block over the Hulda gates. These were the main entrances. There were two of them here on the side here, and these would one here and one here. One was the in and one was the out. and they would take you through this portico, which is where the Alaska Mosque is now. And I'll show you a few pictures of that area. And then you would come in and go into the temple area. And this was a
Wow.
May I
huge
ask you something? These arches,
These arches are real.
where are they in
They're
your
here. They're here.
in your
And
picture?
when you walk around, when you go from the western wall, you can take a tour. You can go down this area and you can walk here. I took it with a tour guide, a firm guy, and he showed me all these different things for me and so forth. So very interesting tour. Take a tour of that. And then I showed you the steps here. So this is even closer. This is like going up here.
Oh.
And then you can see how they tried to hide this other door right here almost entirely. This is all Muslim stuff blocked over. And up here this is that silver dome, which is the Alaska Mosque, which is not the Dome of the Rock, but that's a real mosque that they took over this area, which they showed there.
They built it up.
Now I'm showing you also from the south how it looked like in the time of David, how you used to go when you did Aliyas Aregel. When you used to go up for the holidays, you would go up the mountain path up to here. You can actually take a tour from the city of David, which is over here, and they'll take you on the path. They've opened up a tunnel going the whole way, and you can see the original
on the right is also
showing how it was. And there
just a second. The picture on the right is also a reconstruction.
It is a reconstruction.
Got it.
And there were stores and shops, and you could buy everything, and then you would go up, up, up into the temple like this. So today you can go here. Shlomo Judas and I walked all the way down here, and we took the bus back up again, and so forth on the city of David, which is right outside the southern walls. And you can see here the gates of Huldah here, over here on the side, the double gates of Huldah.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of the tour here of the thing. And I'll show you this.
Can I ask you a quick question? You said there were little shops. It made me think of it. When people were bringing their things for the Olos Harega, whatever, the Shlosh Regalim, they brought their korbanos with them, or they could buy those
No, there's a lot of
shop.
stores there. We could go on and on about this, but there were a lot of shops and stores at the base.
They could buy their korbanos at those stores?
Yes. There are places to show. Now, let me show you a little bit of a virtual reconstruction. This will help a little bit to orient yourself. So let's go full screen. Here we go, and we're going to see how we're going up into the temple in the time of the temple days. So let's hit it. I turned off the sound because there's music, and it's the 3 weeks, so I have to sort of narrate this.
Good, go ahead.
And you will see that this is sort of showing you. I can actually speed this up a little bit. We don't have to go quite that slow.
No, it really feels like we're walking through it.
Good. Very nice.
And like I said, there's the 2 gates for Huldah right over on the side. You would go up this. There were stores. You can actually see it if you take the tunnel tour here and so forth. And then you're getting towards the western, but you're at the corner here. You're going to turn, and we're going to go up the ramp. But there's stores here. You see the stores here? Underneath here, they actually dug these out. You can see some of the stores in the mikvahs that used to be for preparation for going on top of the Temple Mount. So if you take a tour, they'll show you where you could buy, but there are little alcoves here where you would buy everything. And I will speed this up even a little bit more.
Did you say mikvah?
There was big mikvahs here too for the men because you had to purify yourself before you would go on top of the mountain. So you have to go through a mikvah. Now he's going to take you through the main gates on the south. These are the main gates that everybody used to walk through. And there's actually, I have pictures. Some people actually in the 1800s, the British came and they were able to go in. The Arabs don't let us anymore. And they took pictures of the tunnels under this way because they were able to get through those doors that were blocked over. And it looks almost like exactly what they're going to show here with big arches and then these designs on top. So this is based on pictures from British in the late 1800s who actually went in, and they actually went through these tunnels and they saw that you could go up to the Temple Mount, but the Muslims don't let you go there anymore.
This
of course,
still exists.
This still exists.
Wow.
These tunnels still exist, but of course they're blocked over on the south. You can't go through them. And then you would go. This is how you would enter, and you would come in over here, and I think he's going to show you. These are the entrances. Now we went through the doors to the Temple Mount, and then there's another set of doors, as you can see, that goes into the temple itself, the Mishkan. And on the sides,
Excuse me, what are you distinguishing between?
these doors.
Those doors go to the
Inside it's called the Mikdash. And the Mikdash is the holy. There is, of course,
and what is the other thing that you were talking
the
about?
altar is in here, and then the doors, the other doors that I'll show you.
What were you saying the other doors go
The
to?
doors to the mount up to get up into this area here. So and these are they call it the Solomon Stables. It's a very bad name for it. It was an area where you had protection from the rain, and then all these people came on the holidays, could congregate together and get ready to go in. This was not sanctified and holy to the extent of the rest of the Temple Mount, so you were still able to go in, and there men and women, like you can see, even would be there. But of course, we tried to keep men and women apart when they actually went into the temple area. So now we're going to go. It's going to take us from the Temple Mount. Oh, here's the guy who would blow a shofar to indicate that the coming of Shabbos, a horn on the So that's where that custom is, that on Friday, right before Shabbos, there's a siren.
In Yerushalayim.
So in Yerushalayim, they would have that, there. And then you can sort of see that we're going in, we're gonna head into the main. So here's the doors to the Temple Mount, as I said. That's the outer wall. And then I said there's other set of doors which go into the Beit HaMikdash itself. And that's as far as this video goes.
Oh my God.
I wonder if there's like problems with crowd control, like so many
Millions
people
of
needing
people.
to
There's many stories about what
bring
was happening.
Shalosh for the
when
where they
they
had to
came.
come up and give their.
If you
And I
want,
guess each man represented the family, right? So like the wife and the children that came
women
along.
also went to the Ezra's Nashim, which is also a part of the temple. So, there was a women's court, and everybody came on Simchas Pesach Shueva. The women were up in balconies, and the men were down below dancing. So everybody came to the Temple Mount.
No, but
Women had to come.
when they would bring when they brought their things for the korbanos, I mean, they didn't bring the korbanos. They gave it to
Women had to
that
bring
would give it to
korbanos
them, right?
also, because one of the most common ones was women would give birth to a baby, and they had to bring a korban of a bird. And so there were many, 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 many. Yes, the women had to come too. Everybody had to bring a korban. There was no davening. There was no minyan. This was it. It was you would bring. Judaism was centered around a building, and the building you brought offerings, and that was Judaism in those days. It wasn't like you had a shtibel on the clock.
You didn't have an organized davening. People talked to Hashem.
People talked to Hashem.
They davened to Hashem in their own words,
24/7.
but they didn't have the siddur. They didn't have that was the replacement for the temple. When the temple was destroyed, the sages got together and they said, we have to do something to preserve Yiddishkeit. And the whole structure that we're familiar with today is post-temple.
So I do have a longer video. I'd like to, do I have time to show it?
What time is it?
So this is the last video.
Okay,
Then
good.
I think it's very interesting. So I will start it here. So this is done by the City of David Institute and so forth. They do excellent work and so forth. And they're going to explain to you how the temple was actually built. So they're going to show you here that, here it is. Here we can see from the top view today, and then how it was about the time of the 19 BCE. This is sort of here showing about Herod. Now, Herod, of course, was an evil, evil man, killed thousands and thousands of rabbis and Jews and so forth. He was a maniac. He was manic depressive and out and out crazy. But he felt bad about what he did at one point in time, and he decided, I'm going to try and rebuild the temple. And the Jews were appalled by the idea.
Out of his trying to do like tshuva.
Right. So because he was really trying to aggregate him, aggrandize himself. But then he said, and then they were worried, you're going to destroy the first temple, the temple we just built, the second temple, and then rebuild it. So he said, you know what? I'm going to prove I'm good. I'm going to first assemble all the pieces, and then you'll see that I'll have everything ready. and they actually finished it in a year. And he's
They finished building the second
Yes.
temple in 1 year.
and this is how they did it. They had to get these huge blocks over near Maladafna. You can actually see where they hewed out these huge blocks over and over again.
Really?
And yeah, Herod asked Bava ben Musa how he would how could he express his regrets and how could he rebuild the temple. So we're going to show a little bit. Let me speed it up just a bit
He's
here.
wearing a tallis? I guess so.
Yeah. So let me get a speed here. 1.5.
Do 1.7.
It looks like Herod's wearing a yarmulke.
So here he got, he built Caesarea, he built Masada, he built a lot of other places. Herod. But then this is really the most magnificent house he ever built, which was and he rebuilt there. So here's how they made a mikdash.
The temple.
The smaller blocks they could see, you could take cattle and roll the stuff and so forth. But the people in white are Kohanim, and anyway, there were Jews, non-Jews helped build it. He's going to show you.
What did they have on their backs?
I don't know.
We can't hear you, Shlomo Stiladis.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So here he's showing you how Herod rebuilt up the whole temple. He built a mound. He rebuilt the whole mountain. He filled it in and so forth. And then he had to have huge stones to make it solid like a mountain and so forth. So they brought these stones. Some of them weigh 600 tons each.
Wow.
And he's going you on the tunnels tour. He's showing you how it was and how they had little block things on the side. And they would use, but it was all by hand, They carved it by hand. They pushed it by hand.
On logs.
Logs. Ezra Habira. This is right next to Maladafna. And you can actually see where they were hewing it out. Herod stones. He shows you how here they would use just chisels, and it would do a perfect job at just making a nice square a stone. And then they would make these little rims on the side. And that's how you know that it's Herod's stones for the temple, because they have that little rim there.
What was the purpose of the rim? Any idea?
So
I don't know.
Okay.
the people that were
maybe.
building it were Herod's workers, since he was
Jews, non-Jews. He hired all sorts of people to help build this temple.
he hired, so he had a lot of money. Okay.
He had a lot. Yeah, he was the king.
Whoa, look at that.
And they would put them
Wow.
sort of. It fitted perfectly because he would do diagonally one and then the other and then the other and the other, and everything also see a little bit in each time. So it was really well latched and locked together so that it wouldn't even there's many earthquakes in Israel and it never fell down. So they lifted it, they set it in place, they transported it. One of them did fall down, and you can see in the tunnels tour that that they can see that they found one that actually fell
Wow.
from the top. They slipped sometime and so forth like that. This little stuff that's Arab garbage. It's on top, but they think it was 500 meters in length. And just to give you a sense of the size, how many square meters the whole thing took. So about 30 soccer field of stuff.
Wow.
Now, the workers went nonstop, dawn to dusk, rain, didn't matter when they did it. And then, like you said, it was, they finished the work, and it was just Fridays that stopped it, and that's the arch that they made. And
so Baruch Hashem, he kept Shabbos. He told them to keep Shabbos.
Yeah, the Jews would not have let them to do anything
Baruch
else.
Hashem.
So he's here now. He's explaining to you here a little bit. I'll stop it for a second. I saw this stone here. I've seen this stone too. So it's got an inscription on it, which says that it's written in Hebrew, and it says this is the place where they would blow the trumpet on Friday afternoon. And I remember
it says Leves HaTekiah.
Leves
HaTekiah, the house of the shofar.
So when I took the tour, it was a guy from the Mir who showed me it, and he said, he had an American come, and he said, do you really believe that this actually happened 2,000 years ago, that the Jews had somebody sitting on the corner here and blew this thing? And the tour guide said, I blew up at the guy. He says, this isn't Disneyland. We didn't build this thing, It's huge. It's like half a mile by half a mile. This is reality. This is the house
Right.
of God. This is the temple. And, and I'm not making this up,
And it's still there. A
and
lot
it's
of it
still
is still
there.
there. So
You can
it's
see the
proof.
burnt marks from
Lebeis
Tisha B'Av.
Hatakia.
You can see the
Wow.
burnt marks.
LaHashem.
I went here.
Lebeis Hatakia LaHashem.
I went there. I saw the
No,
stones that had
Hatakia.
that had.
No. Lahavdil. Oh, show it again. Oh, well. Doesn't matter.
What?
Okay. Lebeis Hatakia.
Yes.
And then it says Lahavdil Ben Kodesh
Maybe it's the
Lahol.
hole. Right.
Interesting.
Wow.
Oh, because
I went there.
because
Like I
they would
said,
blow, excuse me, they would blow it when Shabbos was about to begin,
exactly.
and that would separate between the weekday and the holy day. Very interesting.
And you can see that stone if
Oh,
you
they
take a
blew
look.
it before Shabbos
Yeah.
to
Yes.
Before
bring
It's-
Shabbos,
Kodesh
to separate
Lahol.
It's
between.
the siren
Yeah.
before Shabbos.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
So I mean, I saw it. I saw the stones with the black marks from Tisha B'Av, that they burnt. So he would stand there and he would blow it to announce the start of the Shabbos.
Wow.
And you have to stop your work. And there it shows what it was there. So here's the main street, everything shut down. Here's those little stores, shops I told you that would be on the on the western wall. You can go down that area and you can actually see there's little alcoves, and that's where each guys would have a little market, and they would be selling things. And I also saw the mikvahs that were there, huge mikvahs for people to go to a
Really?
mikvah before they would go up onto the Temple Mount, because you had to be pure. There's a
Wow.
house there called the Bird House in Jerusalem. You can take the tour. That house had 7 mikvahs. Why did they have 7
Wow.
mikvahs? Because Kohanim lived in Yerushalayim, and when you had to go up to the mountain, Mincha, everybody had to go take a bath. So it was a very busy time. So you needed a lot of mikvahs. So everybody went to the mikvah. You couldn't go on top of the mountain. So this is how they built over the plaza and covered it
Oh.
over. And this is sort of an idea of how it would look. And of course, you see here this area.
Those are all Kohanim.
Oh, and this last thing is a lady. She found out she was Jewish. She came to Yerushalayim, and she's talking about how the fact is that they were finding all these colored stones there, and she was good at this, and she began to put them together, and she realized that the whole Temple Mount was beautiful,
Wow.
mosaic of beautiful stones. It says they were all precious stones. Rambam says the whole temple, when they had enough money, was all precious stones. So she's been putting this together to get sort of an idea of what it looked like before.
Wait, what did I don't mean to cut you off. It said, until I knew my Jewish roots.
Yeah, she
What?
didn't know it because she didn't grow up She didn't know she was Jewish. She grew up and raised as a Catholic, and then she found out she was Jewish, and she came to Israel, and now she's
That's
really
unbelievable.
So it's an interesting.
Did you read? Did it say what country she grew up in?
Yeah, it's Richmond,
Richmond,
Virginia.
Virginia. Yeah.
I know the
Virginia.
country.
Ronnie Schneider.
So here you can see here, this is the arch, Robinson's Arch. Over here is the end of the western wall. And here's where you walk down to the south. There's the Alaska mosque, the mosque that they built on top. And then this is the southern side. And then, of course, up here is where they would blow the shofar. So that's sort of a contemporary picture of how these things were done. And then he's showing you then how it was in the past then and the original stuff.
Royal
now he's showing you
Stoa.
here-
What is a Stoa?
So I know there's so many funny words here. So this arch thing here, which they reused for the mosque, this is called in Roman times a stoa, and it was an area where you could where people would prepare themselves, where they could sit down. They weren't on the holy area of the temple, so they were on the Har HaBayit. They were already up on the mountain.
I thought
But they could
nobody
actually-
but the king
and
could
they could
sit
be-
in the Har HaBayit.
So this is not that area
not
because this
considered
is
the Har
considered
HaBayit.
outside. It's outside of the 500 by 500 area.
Uh-huh.
Herod built this so that people could have protection from the weather, the rain, and other kinds of stuff. Sun and so forth is really bad, and was and Joseph Flavius said it was a 162 marble columns, each one made from a single stone, and 3 men would have to go with their arms around it to stretch around it. So yeah, it was quite a structure. But it was used for secular, and there were shops, he says, and then there was also here, and then next to here, this is that shopping market that I said was next to
Right.
the temple, and so
Yeah, you can see it.
you can sort of see it. And then this arch is here. And the arch was built so that you didn't have to bother the people. You would go overpass over the stores, and you wouldn't have to bother them. And then these are the entrances and exits from the on the south side, going in and out. And then the stairs are very long to sort of give you a impression of that you're going into a holy place. So, very long steps. And you would come up this way as he's showing you, and then you would end up in this area, and then you would go in the plaza, and then you would head into the temple, the Ezra's Nashim first, and then the Ezra's, this is the Ezra's Yisrael, and then the altar is also on the side, and then the Holy of Holies is inside. And of course, he's showing you that it was basically shaped like a lion, wide in the front. And then this is an artistic interpretation of how the doors look like, and then the destroyers, the crow destroyers for the roof, so that the birds didn't land on top.
I'm sorry to ask such a silly. I'll ask it quickly. What's it called? Even though the people came, but
it was so beautiful.
Korbanos were actually brought by the Kohanim, right? So
yes, yeah.
Right. So the people would come and they would just watch their korbanos being brought.
You could go a little ways here. So
Sorry.
you had to be purified to get into into this area around the Temple Mount and to go into here. You would come in through the Ezra's Nashim here, and you would go, that was allowed for men and women. If you had to, now backing up, here where you see these semicircular steps, that is the steps from the women. See the women's balconies here, okay? That's where the women would stand, okay? This is where the men would come in. The circular steps are leading to the Shar Nicanor, it's called, and there's a whole story about that. Women and men.
Isn't this where the
Levites
would play their instruments?
Here on the steps and so forth. There was gates for their clothing and their harps below here.
Beautiful.
Women would go all the way up to this point here, or at Saras, because they were tume from Saras or from other or menstrual or whatever. So they would bring their burnt offering up to this point where the Kohen would take it. Men could go a little bit further in, and they could actually stand next to the altar. They could actually slaughter the animal if they wanted to, but they probably would give it to the Kohen to slaughter in front of them. They had to be there personally because you had to confess on the animal. You would take both hands and you would push your hand down on the head of the goat or the cow or the lamb, and you would press down and hard, and you would confess your sin, and then it would be slaughtered for you. That's how the process would work. And they would bring the blood.
You actually said that women brought for after childbirth.
Birds. Yes, birds.
So but they couldn't really go through the doors. Okay.
They couldn't go through the doors. They couldn't go into that area, but they could get up.
Maybe they sent their husbands or something.
They could do that too. Maybe.
Or the Kohen would take it from them right there.
So that's the limit of how you can get into it.
It's very beautiful floor.
Yeah, well, they're artistic. They're not 100% sure what this looked like. That lady, they're discovering things.
But what the woman showed us when that woman was there, that was real.
Well, yeah, she was showing a real thing. So anyway,
so that's beautiful too.
No, the floor that she's showing is a reconstruction.
That's a reconstruction. This is reconstruction. This is the top. This is all reconstruction. Yeah. Some of the stones are real, but again, she's just making up how it would all look. And then they looked at it, they thought it was fantastic, and then everybody came to marvel at this thing. It was the wonder of the world, and people, non-Jews, would also try and bring things, so that whoever has not seen a beautiful Herod's temple never saw a beautiful building before, and people from all over the world came to the temple, and especially on the Yom Tovim, it was probably packed. And this is. As we finish,
I remember learning that in those times people couldn't be converted because the miracles were so open that it really it didn't leave anything for Bechira. I don't know how else to say that.
Free
you know
choice.
What I'm saying?
Free choice. Yes, absolutely. And
so they're allowed to convert when there's no base of Mikdash, but when there's such open miracles, doesn't really. Of course, everyone's going to want to be Jewish because it's like they want to join the holy people.
Okay, that is the end of my presentation. I am going to pause and stop here. And
beautifully, Haskell Shimon. That was
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll turn over the
Okay.
microphone to
I'm just
Shalom
going to say
Shabbos.
2 sentences.
So we can watch this again
Okay.
if you want.
Yeah, I can provide the
can do
links
it.
if you
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
You can just watch the replay.
Or you can watch
You
the
can
replay
go to
and then I
YouTube.
put it in YouTube.
YouTube
Yeah, I
class,
don't know the
class
YouTube address. I'll
309.
have to get it another time.
Okay, good. So I want to remind everybody that this time of year, it's the 3 weeks, right? The 3 weeks are considered a time of calamity. But the Rebbe points out, and the Rebbe points out, and it's an interesting thing that this time of year is actually the time of Hashem's greatest mercy. The Jewish year is divided into 2 parts. There's Rosh Hashanah to Pesach, and then there's Pesach to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah to Pesach is considered the time where we work hard on ourselves, and it's our time to grow and struggle and show our stuff. And the time from Pesach to Rosh Hashanah, which is the whole summer, is the time of Hashem showing his benevolence, showering good stuff, just like the sun is incredibly bright at this time of year. And when is the sun the brightest? The 3 weeks. So it means that Hashem's kindness, Hashem's chesed, is the most powerful at this time. It's true, these events happened at this time, but we have to know that this is when the sun is at its strongest. It is a mashal, it is an analogy. Hashem gave us a very physical symbol for it. He is pouring down his kindness. And so,
even though the temple was destroyed in that time, but
even though the temple was destroyed, every time the temple was destroyed, it was to make way for something better. It was, the simple explanation is that it was a punishment, but the bigger explanation is it's always to make way for something far beyond what was before. And
because it's a time of mourning.
Yeah. So, but
Sorry.
it is a time of mourning because we went through horrible things, but it's still in its bigger picture. It is something that happened to make way for something much larger, much greater. And also in Yemos HaMashiach, in the days of Mashiach, we know that the highest time of all. What's the highest time of all? When Yemos HaMashiach, and the Rebbe says we've already begun Yemos HaMashiach, we're already entering Yemos HaMashiach. The days of when we get into it full blown, the days of Yemos HaMashiach are going to make everything pale in comparison. You will still see the holidays. You will still see Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot. You'll still see them, but we'll still observe them, but they'll be sort of like a candle in the sunlight. And even interestingly enough, even higher than okay, can you please get rid of that? Okay. Okay, even higher than the holidays in Yemos HaMashiach. Okay, there's the holidays. Even higher than the holidays will be Purim. Is that interesting? Purim is to be magnificent, higher than any of the other Yom Tovim, and higher than Purim still are going to be the fast days. The fast days are going to be woo. When we see what they were all about, the light
and Yom Kippur is the biggest one, right?
No, I'm talking about maybe Yom Kippur, but I'm talking about.
Well, you said a fast day, so that's why
I'm talking about the fast days involved with the destruction of the temple. The fast days involved with the destruction of the temple. So those are going to be like Tisha B'Av is going to be out of this world. All of Shiva Asar B'Tammuz is going to be out of this world. All of them are going to be out of this world. And I was thinking, why is Purim so much greater than all the other holidays? And why are the fast days? Why are they going to eclipse everything else? And the only thing I can think about, and this is sorry just for myself, is that on Purim, what was so special about Purim? On all the other holidays, Hashem was showing his stuff. On Pesach, he took us out of Egypt, and he did so many miracles. It was Hashem, 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 amazing. And on Shavuos, he gave us his amazing Torah. And on Sukkot, he protected us. It's all stuff that Hashem did. What is Purim? Purim, Hashem was completely in disguise.
And hidden,
And
right.
we stood up and we said, we are not separating from Hashem, no matter what you threaten us with, Haman. It doesn't matter. It was an opportunity for the Jews to show what they were made of. And so too with all the fastings. It was a time of calamity, and the Jews became stronger and showed their stuff. So Hashem loves us, and the biggest holidays that are going to be when all is said and done are those holidays when we showed who we are. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents.
Okay.
So can you quickly say the YouTube channel? Is it too hard to say it now, or to
Well, I
see
have
it on
many.
YouTube?
Those are
We'll send
multiple.
you-
The multiple. I'll drop the links in the chat. Oh, does that help?
Okay.
Does that help?
Okay.
We'll drop them in the chat.
What is it? Is it called something? Just look for Good Freund. Yeheskel Good Freund.
Oh,
Just
it's
look for
on the,
Yeheskel
it's on
Good
the
Freund.
Yeah, I don't know how to
invite for the
spell
class.
Yeheskel.
It's on the invite for this class. She always
Yes.
she always gives the
Yes.
YouTube
Yeah.
channel for this
Yeah.
I-
Scroll down on the invitation.
on the invitation.
Yeah.
It's also called Faith and Calm.
Right,
So you
on the Faith and Calm link, it's
Yes.
at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bottom.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Sure,
good.
no.
Okay, everybody should have a wonderful week, and we look forward to talking to you again
We
next
can't
week.
thank you enough. Me and Gold.